Okay, folks, welcome to hanging out at JPULSE. Basically, the concept is as follows. My friend Andy, who's in California, say hi, Andy.
Hi, Andy.
I'm tempted to push the. Yeah, sorry, I had to do it.
No joke. No joke.
Yeah. My friend Andy and I were talking about learning Torah, b'chavrusa, one-on-one, and it's very difficult with him being in California, so we could do it over the phone, or we could do it right here on Google Hangouts, and we decided that as long as we're learning, we might as well invite other people to join us. Today's session is basically we're discussing the paradox of anger, and before I just have to do a little disclaimer here. We are, in the trenches. This isn't. We're not lecturing to anyone. This is, we're working on ourselves, and the idea here is personal growth. No one, at least myself for sure, I have not conquered the character trait of anger, but perhaps today we can have an insight or two, practical, advice and whatnot on things that we can have things that we can take with us towards the goal of eventually better understanding anger and thereby conquering it. And do you have anything you want to add?
Well, you act as if it's something that's on you, and anger is like a primal trait for centuries upon centuries of millennia upon millennia. The animals, the primates, and the fact that none of us have conquered anger is not surprising. And it's really, if we did, maybe somebody would start a study that shows that we're not descended from primates. Of course, now I'm getting to evolution, and I don't know if anyone out there is creationist or whatnot, but I'm just going by what we've learned about where anger, how long it's been just learned deep inside us. So if you believe in creation, that's fine too.
All right, Andy, enough. You're trying my patience enough. I'm about to lose my temper.
I am gonna hit you.
Okay, so here we go. Very good. Okay. Now, one of the things very interesting about anger is that, and I don't know if you've ever met anyone who got angry, but would you say that your friend who gets angry is himself when he's in a state of anger or rage?
Mm-hmm.
Most people, when they get angry, they become a totally different person. They're not themselves. They're like screaming and yelling and acting like a baby. Rah, 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 rah. That's not them. They become a totally strange person. Why is that? How is it that anger totally transforms a person into this strange person? An interesting thing, right? An interesting thing that, from a mystical perspective, I should put my Kabbalistic satellite dish on, taking the no, but from a mystical perspective, anger is actually not a character trait of Hashem, of God. A fascinating thing. Anger is not something that God does. Now, He shows us a face of anger that we'll see throughout the Torah, but it's not something that actually, it's not a character trait of God. And Maimonides instructs us that of all the character traits, there's no room for anger. So how can we, right? How can we get an understanding of how we can actually uproot anger from our lives, right? In fact, by the way, another interesting thing about anger is that it's compared to idolatry. Anger is compared to idolatry. A person who's in a state of anger is compared to an idolatrous person. Another interesting thing is that in one of the books that's studied in a lot of the yeshivas, Erech HaPayim, Slow to Anger. It's a nice title for a book on anger. Basically, the book explains that a person cannot upset his wife. He shouldn't make his wife angry. Like he shouldn't cause her to become angry, because then he would be in the vicinity. He would be in contact with something that has a ruach ra over it, and like an evil spirit over it. So it's an interesting concept that we see throughout all of Chazal, that there's a concept where a person, when they lose their temper, they become a totally foreign entity. They become a totally an alien, almost an alien. They uproot their souls from a certain perspective. They uproot their soul and become a totally different person. So what we want to discuss today, I don't know if you you want to interject anything, Andy?
It's funny. I was having this exact same conversation yesterday when I was just punching a homeless man for no reason. And I was with my friends. They are JP. Perhaps you could speak to this as a father of several. He's a father of twin boys about age 3 and a newborn. So he was home alone. The mother was away, and he was home. And he just talked. It was that whole thing. They went into being parents saying, "I am not going to be the one who yells." I'm
I'm not going
to be this, and then it turns into. So he was trying to get one kid who's, to get attention, they pee themselves or whatever. So one had peed himself here. He's trying to clean him off, and another one's over there screaming, and then the young one is screaming because everybody's screaming, and one of the kids slapped my friend in the face.
Ow.
So yeah, exactly. So without having a moment to think, I have been slapped, let me calm down. He slapped him back. Now, not open, not closed fist or anything. And he just said, oh my, now he's screaming. And, his wife comes in and she heard him screaming like down the street. Neighbors are, probably going, oh, they've got 3 kids, no biggie. But that thing of, I never thought I'd be the one to hit my kids. It's something that, in that instance, I know Adrian Peterson has gotten a lot of flack for using what's called a switch. I think it's a stick or something to beat his kid. And if you've ever had a handshake from Adrian Peterson, that's punishment enough, because he's a football player, NFL Minnesota Vikings. So you may have seen him in the news now with that. But my friend, the child did not start crying because of that. It was something like, oh, wow, you hit me. And, because the kid's in his own little, let's call it spastic realm where it's, nothing's going to stop that. He's going, having a tantrum or going, being, aggressive or defiant. So just hitting him, it's not going to, I don't think that is something to traumatize him, but it traumatized my friend. How did I become, I never thought I'd be that guy.
Right, exactly. And it's interesting, Andy, it's interesting that, the Torah instructs us that even losing one's temper, never mind physically doing anything. If a person just loses their temper, they become an angry, they become, from that, it's forbidden by the Torah. It's compared to worshiping idols. So look at the offense that the Torah, now, of course, a parent, now that you bring up parenting, a parent has to put on a face of anger at times. One of my teachers, Rabbi Huxley, said a beautiful thing. He said that he said, JP, because we have Baruch Hashem, we have a lot of children, and he said remember, JP, he says, smile on the inside. Like you can't let them see that you're laughing because they're so cute. And when he said this, it's fascinating. You see it play out that the kid, once you reframe a child. You have to understand what's age appropriate. And once you reframe a child in that light, it's impossible not to laugh. And then you have a difficult time. You have a difficult time showing even a face of anger because they're so cute. So, but 100%, 100% that the Torah draws the fence on even losing a temper. But even though we have to sometimes show a face of anger for the well-being of the child, can't let our children run into the street. We have to show them a face of, you should not do that. That's very dangerous, and explain why in a calm way. But okay, now here's the one of the most, I would say, potent, the most potent understandings of anger that I've come across, that for me personally has been a wellspring of growth. It's basically the paradox of anger. The paradox of anger is as follows. What is the trigger? What triggers anger? Why do people lose their temper? What is the light switch, right? What is that light switch that turns on anger? So Rabbi Noach Orlowek explains the following concept. The paradox of anger is that when a person is trying to control something outside of himself that is beyond his control, he loses control of the one thing that he does have control of, which is, guess what? Himself, right? When I'm trying to control something outside of me, and that something is beyond my control, I get angry because it's not doing what I want it to do. And so therefore I lose control of the one thing I do have control of, which is myself. That's the paradox.
Yeah,
So,
that's a good paradox. Yeah.
so to slam on the brakes, when do we slam on the brakes? We slam on the brakes when we feel, the bubbling, when we feel like we're losing, we're about to like lose our temper. Stop, and just think, what is it in this scenario, in this situation right now? What am I trying to control? What is it that's beyond my control? And through that, I can gain a tremendous insight into my world. In fact, the next step would be to actually, try and consider, is this something that I should be trying to control? Or even to accept? Maybe I should be accepting a certain situation as beyond my control. And then imagine the relief, the stress being lifted off a person's shoulders. When a person can stop and say, wait, I'm not supposed to control my child like that. I'm not supposed to control my spouse that way. Right? This is a human being. And even the reality of a person's life. My business is not going that well, or my business, I have a competitor, or whatever it is, and I want to control that, but it's beyond my control, So I just have to put in the best effort that I can. And when I put in that best effort, that's my job. I have to control what I'm in control of, and focus what I do have control of, and not let the things that are out of my control stress me out and make me become that hunched over 80-year-old man who's like faces,
Hunched over 40-year-old man. How did I get away after only 3 years?
40-year-old.
Yeah, right. But it's interesting. You mentioned a couple things. One, not having control, that's frustration. I mean, the whole thing is I do not know, and your knowledge, your base of knowledge, I have exhausted as a parent. I have exhausted all my resources for controlling this child. The last step is, just it's frustration. It's I don't know how to do this. It's driving. I mean, sometimes road rage. In Los Angeles, baby, #1 in road rage. And then you want to be in control of yourself, but there are people who are invading your space. I mean, it's that guy who's, trying to really push your buttons. Hey, you got it? Come on, you want to go? You want to go? Hey, no, and you're just trying to walk away over here, and then he's always, oh, I'm over here now. Oh, that's a car. I just want to drive. I'm in my little space. Leave me alone. And there's a car cutting you off over there, and another one with the horn over there, and you're just like, I gotta get out of here. And that's, you do what you can to, it's something where you can take a breath. I mean, I'm big at that, there are these tips that I've heard over the years where you see something that's frustrating and then look at a shape and a color. So if it's, and just think about that, like a stop sign, you go, red octagon. And that's, because it focuses the part of your brain, which is, I guess, can control anger. Whenever you get to that point, you just, blue sky, green blades of grass, and then but again, something else is coming into you. So you're like, green blades of I will kill you.
100%. That's really interesting. But I think before you even can get to the point, I mean, this is basically identifying. It's one thing for me to put out a fire with blue octagons. I can put out fires with blue octagons, but I want to grow from it too. I want to stop the fires from starting. And how do I stop the fires from starting? I can stop the fires from starting by identifying what is the principle. Nearly every time I lose my anger, what is the principle that happened? And that I think is what Rabbi Orlowick was explaining, is that what happens is a person's trying to control that which is outside of his control, And the interesting thing that we could add to that, perhaps, is that now we see maybe on a deeper level, why it's compared to idolatry, because I'm essentially saying that God doesn't run the show. I run the show. And if that's my mindset, if my mindset is that I'm in charge and not Hashem, then what ends up happening is I end up in a sense denying Hashem's involvement in all of the details of the universe. So it's a denial of God in a certain way. So the concept of saying I'm not in charge of the world, I'm only in charge of myself. I have free will. I have the ability to decide, and to act on my decisions. But that's as far the extent of it. And I have to put an effort in the world, but of course put effort towards goals and whatnot, and try to fix up the world. But when it comes to anger, the recognition that everything is from Hashem, and that I can only control what I'm in control of, which is myself, right? That I can't control things outside of my control.
Mm-hmm. That's
pretty good, Andy. This has been wonderful. We gotta keep it short and sweet.
Right. Yeah, that's
yeah, and I appreciate you making the time. Let's pick this up hopefully next week, and we're looking forward to seeing you.
Learning more and more every day.
Awesome. Oh, I like that. That could be the slogan,
All right. Well, I've copywritten it, so you'll owe me a lot of money, but
very good. Okay, my friend. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. Productive week filled with growth and success and only good things.
Stay warm out there.
Yeah. Okay, very good. All the best.
You too.